Kenya is the old Jerusalem, the ancient Ariel, the city of David. Kenya is the heart of the earth. In it are the mountains of Israel, that is Jacob. In it is the ancient land of Canaan, the promised land. That's why you see everything is rotating about Kenya. They are the people of the covenant. So some visions were explained in parables. Ezekiel chapter 16, Jerusalem as an adulterous wife. So Kenya is the ancient Jerusalem, the Ariel, city of David. So Jerusalem as an adulterous wife. Remember, a nation is always referred to as she. So Jerusalem here is being referred to as a she, not meaning the physical woman, but the country, the nation, the Jerusalem, the city of David. So the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, confront Jerusalem with her detestable practices and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says to Jerusalem. Your ancestry and birth were in the land of the Canaanites. Your father was an Amorite and your mother a Hittite. On the day you were born, your cord was not cut, nor were you washed with water to make you clean, nor were you rubbed with salt or wrapped in cloths. No one looked on you with pity or had compassion enough to do any of these things for you. Rather, you were thrown out into the open field. For on the day you were born, you were despised. 6. Then I passed by and saw you kicking about in your blood. And as you lay there in your blood, I said to you, live. 7. I made you grow like a plant of the field. You grew and developed and entered puberty. Your breast had formed and your hair had grown, yet you were stark naked. 8. Later I passed by, and when I looked at you and saw that you were old enough for love, I spread the corner of my garment over you and covered your naked body. I gave you my solemn oath and entered into a covenant with you, declares the sovereign Lord, and you became mine. 9. I bathed you with water and washed the blood from you and put ointments on you. 10. I clothed you with an embroidered dress and put sandals of fine leather on you. I dressed you in fine linen and covered you with costly garments. 11. I adorned you with jewelry. I put bracelets on your arms and a necklace round your neck. 12. And I put a ring on your nose, earrings on your ears, and a beautiful crown on your head. 13. So you were adorned with gold and silver. Your clothes were of fine linen and costly fabric and embroidered cloth. Your food was honey, olive oil, and the finest flour. You became very beautiful and rose to be a queen. 14. and your fame spread among the nations on account of your beauty, because the splendor I had given you made your beauty perfect, declares the sovereign Lord. 15. But you trusted in your beauty and used your fame to become a prostitute. You lavished your favors on anyone who passed by, and your beauty became his. You took some of your garments to make gaudy high places, where you carried on your prostitution. You went to him, and he possessed your beauty. 17. You also took the fine jewelry I gave you, the jewelry made of my gold and silver, and you made for yourself male idols and engaged in prostitution with them. 18. And you took your embroidered clothes to put on them, and you offered my oil and incense before them. 19. Also the food I provided for you, the flour, olive oil, and honey, I gave you to eat. You offered as fragrant incense before them. That is what happened, declares the sovereign Lord. So, Kenyans, the land of Israel, the ancient Jerusalem, they engaged themselves in idolatry, accepting foreign gods, following their ways and practices. Yet they were the people of the covenant of the Lord Almighty. And because of this not being faithful to the Lord, both physically and spiritually, it became a prostitute. With the richness of, and everything of value that it had, they defiled the sanctuary of the Lord Almighty, the Holy Land. I continue, 20. And you took your sons and daughters, whom you bore to me, and sacrificed them as food to the idols. Was your prostitution not enough? 21. You slaughtered my children and sacrificed them to the idols. 22. In all your detestable practices and your prostitution, you did not remember the days of your youth, when you were naked and bare, kicking about in your blood. 23. Woe, woe to you, declares the sovereign Lord. In addition to all your other wickedness, 24. You built a mound for yourself and made a lofty shrine in every public square. 25. At every street corner, you built your lofty shrines and degraded your beauty, spreading your legs with increasing promiscuity to anyone who passed by. 26. You engage in prostitution with the Egyptians, your neighbors with large genitals, and aroused my anger with your increasing promiscuity. 27. So I stretched out my hand against you and reduced your territory. I gave you over to the greed of your enemies, the daughters of the Philistines, who were shocked by your lewd conduct. 28. You engage in prostitution with the Assyrians too, because you were insatiable, and even after that, you still were not satisfied. 29. Then you increased your promiscuity to include Babylonia, a land of merchants, but even with this, you were not satisfied. 30. I am filled with fury against you, declares the sovereign Lord. When you do all these things, acting like a brazen prostitute. 31. when you built your mounds at every street corner and made your lofty shrines in every public square, you were unlike a prostitute because you scorned payment. 32. You adulterous wife, you prefer strangers to your own husband. Who is the husband? God Almighty. Because Jerusalem, the Israelite nation, is married to the Lord Almighty. All prostitutes receive gifts, but you give gifts to all your lovers, bribing them to come to you from everywhere for your illicit favors. 34. So in your prostitution, you are the opposite of others. No one runs after you for your favors. You are the very opposite, for you give payment and none is given to you. 35. Therefore, you prostitute, this is Kenya, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Because you poured out your lust and exposed your naked body in your promiscuity with your lovers, the foreign nations that are not of Israelites, and because of all your detestable idols, and because you gave them your children's blood, the sacrifices, the murders that are happening, innocent blood being shed, those are the sacrifices. And because you gave them your children's blood, 37, therefore, I am going to gather all your lovers, with whom you found pleasure, those you loved as well as those you hated. I will gather them against you from all around, and will strip you in front of them, and they will see you stark naked. So how is God going to gather all these lovers? The foreign kingdoms that the government of Kenya has been seeking with in different things, letting them come into the sanctuary of the Lord with their idols and accepting them to be done in the Holy Land. People seeking the outside job, the foreign jobs that covenant them into idolatry. This is the prostitution. So all these foreign kingdoms that are not of Israel, how is God going to gather them and strip the country naked before them through the slaughter that is coming, through the Gog and Magog war that is coming? Kenya, the valley of slaughter. So when these armies surround the city with the terror attack, this is how the country will be stripped naked. This war that is coming to the mountains of Israel, to Kenya, other foreign nations coming to attack it. The prophecy by Prophet War of war coming to Africa, but the destination is Kenya. This is how the country Kenya is going to be stripped naked before his lovers. That's why we have the prophecies by Voice of Thunders, Abdul Rahman, the men in black linen, by Prophet War, the severest judgment coming to Kenya, the lamentation in Kenya. We also have the prophecies of state funeral, because it is the slaughter. That is how the country is going to be stripped naked before all the lovers. Kenya is loved by almost every nation in the world. That is how it engaged in prostitution and forgot that it was married to the Lord Almighty. So, the slaughter is coming, the severest judgment, and not only slaughter, but the famine that is coming. So I will gather them against you from all around, and will strip you in front of them, and they will see you stark naked. 38. I will sentence you to the punishment of women who commit adultery and who shed blood. So with the sword that innocent blood has been shed, so with the sword, with the same measure, it is going to be done unto Kenya. I will bring on you the blood vengeance of my wrath and jealous anger. Why Kenya to have the severest judgment? Because they are the people of the covenant, the people loved by God, the chosen people. So they are having the severest judgment, greater than any other nation, because they are the people who God loves. So the wrath of Kenya is severest. There is the slaughter. There is the fire that will descend like Sodom and Gomorrah time. Also, there is the great famine in which parents will eat their own children. There is going to be the wild animals devouring the land, eating the flesh of people. The severest judgment. Kenya being stripped stark naked, because they remained unfaithful to the Lord, and yet they are the people of the covenant. They are the nation loved by God, but they are the great people who have stone hearts and circumcised hearts, the most rebellious people in the whole world. So the vengeance, the severest vengeance of the Lord is falling on Kenya, the people of the covenant, the ancient Jerusalem, the heart of the earth. 39. Then I will deliver you into the hands of your lovers, and they will tear down your mounds and destroy your lofty shrines. It will remain a desolate place. No one will want to pass through or visit Kenya. It is coming. It is coming. The city will be burned down, and it will only remain a home for the wild animals. And apart from the famine, from the slaughter, there is the tsunami that is coming at the coast. The sea will rise up, and many will die, and the sea will dry up, to pave way for the other kings, the exalted people, the other nations that are not of Israelites, to come for the resurrection that is ahead. So they will strip you of your clothes and take your fine jewelry and leave you stark naked, without any help. We exalted ourselves as the great prostitutes as a country, but we will be humbled to nothing, being returned back to the Lord in fear, trembling back to the Lord, to clothe us with the new of His glory, Kenya becoming a tree of life, the new Kenya that belongs to God. "40. They will bring a mob against you, who will stone you and hack you to pieces with their swords. They will burn down your houses and inflict punishment on you in the sight of many women." Who are these many women? The other nations that are not of Kenya. Everyone will witness what will happen in Kenya. It will be all over the news, the disaster the severe punishment that God will inflict on Kenya on the day of the Lord. I will put a stop to your prostitution, and you will no longer pay your lovers. 42. Then my wrath against you will subside, and my jealous anger will turn away from you. I will be calm and no longer angry. So, after this judgment, the severest judgment, Lord Himself will comfort us and wipe away our tears. And in this comfort, Kenya is becoming the tree of life, Revelation 22, having the King of the Lord, Raila Amolo Odinga, with the remnant of people, the 144,000, starting the new heavens and earth. And the mountain of the Lord that will be established in Kenya, currently as Faith Christian Church, which during the desolation, Nalondo to Mabanga, it will be established as the heavenly kingdom on earth, in the new heavens and earth. So, when everything has been fulfilled, that's how the Lord will no longer be angry with us. We will have the final peace and rest, everlasting happiness in the promised land, the Canaan land, overflowing with milk and honey, the Lord Himself dwelling with us. For in this heavenly kingdom, there will be the mountain of the Lord, Isaiah 2. There will be the palace of the King Raila Amolo Odinga. They will have many buildings because the heavenly kingdom will be established with many valuable things. The new Kenya, the prophecy by Isa El Buba. So after the judgment, it is the glory. 43. Because you did not remember the days of your youth, but enraged me with all these things, I will surely bring down on your head what you have done, declares the sovereign Lord. Did you not add lewdness to all your other detestable practices? 44. Everyone who quotes Proverbs will quote this proverb about you, like mother, like daughter. You are a true daughter of your mother, who despised her husband and her children. And you are a true sister of your sisters, who despised their husbands and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite. 46. Your elder sister was Samaria, who lived to the north of you with her daughters. And your younger sister, who lived to the south of you with her daughters, was Sodom. So I have told you, Kenya is the heart of the earth. So this is the original map, the ancient map of creation. Kenya, the heart of the earth. So the current map, the world map, was just drawn by man. But here is the bone of grave, Kenya being the heart of the earth, the true compass direction. Your elder sister was Samaria, who lived to the north of you with her daughters. So who is living to the north of Kenya? Who is living to the north of Kenya? Because Samaria is none other than Tanzania. Samaria is Tanzania. Tanzania is the ancient Samaria. So, Kenya being the heart of the earth, you find that Tanzania, it is on the down part of Kenya. And Here in the Bible, the bone of grave, it is the north side. So Tanzania, it is on the north side of Kenya, the Samaria. That is why it's written, your elder sister was Samaria, who lived to the north of you. So this is the true map, the ancient map. Tanzania, it is on the north. So the world map was made as per the mind of man. So Samaria, it is Tanzania, and it is on the north side of Kenya. This is the true original map, because Kenya is the heart of the earth. More is found in this Ezekiel chapter 23, which says that two adulterous sisters. A sister is a woman, and a woman in the sayings of the wise refers to a country. A she is a country, it is a nation. So these two adulterous sisters are not human sisters, but the bone of grave, they refer to nations, countries. So the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, there were two women, daughters of the same mother. So these two sisters, which are nations or countries, they were daughters of the same mother. So they have a same originality. They became prostitutes in Egypt, engaging in prostitution from their youth. In that land, their breasts were fondled, and their virgin bosom caressed. The elder one was named Ohola, and her sister was Oholiba. They were mine, and gave birth to sons and daughters. Ohola is Samaria, and I've told you Samaria is Tanzania, and Oholiba is Jerusalem, and I've told you Kenya is Jerusalem. So 5. Ohola engaged in prostitution while she was still mine, and she lusted after her lovers, the Assyrians. Now, sisters from the same mother, so they have the same originality, Kenya and Tanzania. And you find the common language between Kenya and Tanzania, the Swahili language. The sisters, nations from the same originality. Ohola engaged in prostitution while she was still mine, and she lusted after her lovers, the Assyrians, warriors clothed in blue, governors and commanders, all of them handsome young men and mounted horsemen. 7. She gave herself as a prostitute to all the elite of the Assyrians, and defiled herself with all the idols of everyone she lusted after. 8. She did not give up the prostitution she began in Egypt, when during her youth men slept with her, caressed her virgin bosom, and poured out their lust on her. Look what happens also in Tanzania. It has given over herself to the foreign kingdoms, engaging also in the worship of idols and weird acts that are not holy. 9. Therefore, I delivered her into the hands of her lovers, the Assyrians, for whom she lusted. 10. They stripped her naked, took away her sons and daughters, and killed her with the sword. She became a byword among women, and punishment was inflicted on her. 11. Her sister Oholiba saw this, yet in her lust and prostitution she was more depraved than her sister. 12. She too lusted after the Assyrians, governors and commanders, warriors in full dress, mounted horsemen, all handsome young men. I saw that she too defiled herself. Both of them went the same way. 14. But she carried her prostitution still further. She saw men portrayed on a wall, figure of Chaldeans portrayed in red. 15. With belts round their waist and flowing turbans on their heads. All of them looked like Babylonian chariot officers, natives of Chaldea. 16. As soon as she saw them, she lusted after them and sent messengers to them in Chaldea. 17. Then the Babylonians came to her, to the bed of love, and in their lust they defiled her. After she had been defiled by them, she turned away from them in disgust. 18. When she carried on her prostitution openly and exposed her naked body, I turned away from her in disgust, just as I had turned away from her sister. Now you understand the reject, why Kenya has lived in reject. Because we are the people of the covenant, and yet we rebelled against the Lord, the true Israelite nation. I continue. So because we remained unfaithful to the Lord, we lived under a curse as a rejected people in slavery, because we defied the covenant of the Lord Almighty. We were married to the Lord, and yet we remained unfaithful, seeking other gods and idols of foreign kingdoms rather than the true Almighty God. 19. Yet she became more and more promiscuous as she recalled the days of her youth, when she was a prostitute in Egypt. 20. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emission was like that of horses. 21. So you longed for the lewdness of your youth, when in Egypt your bosom was caressed and your young breast fondled. 22. Therefore, Oholiba, this is what the sovereign Lord says, I will stir up your lovers against you. This is just a repeat. The lovers, the people, the foreign kingdoms that Kenya has been seeking, comforting them as friends. So these are the lovers. So the Lord will stir them against this own land, the Holy Land, with the slaughter that is coming, with the Gog and Magog, because they will gather and attack Kenya, the war that is coming to Africa. I will stir up your lovers against you, those you turned away from in disgust, and I will bring them against you from every side. 23. The Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, the men of Pekhod and Shoa and Koa, and all the Assyrians with them, handsome young men, all of them governors and commanders, chariot officers and men of high rank, all mounted on horses. 24. The overturnment of royal thrones. 24. They will come against you with weapons, chariots, and wagons, and with a great with a throng of people. They will take up positions against you on every side with large and small shields and with helmets. The war coming to Africa, but the destination is Kenya. I will turn you over to them for punishment, and they will punish you according to their standards. So the Lord will let all this wickedness descend on the land as part of judgment, unleashing his wrath and anger upon the land, the people he loves. 25. I will direct my jealous anger against you, and they will deal with you in fury. They will cut off your noses and your ears, and those of you who are left will fall by the sword. They will take away your sons and daughters, and those of you who are left will be consumed by fire. The lake of fire, a resurrection of the happening of Sodom and Gomorrah. The same way the torrents of fire descended from the sky, it is the same way that this lake of fire will happen. So those who are left, those who will not die by the sword, the lake of fire will consume them. 26. They will also strip you of your clothes and take your fine jewelry. 27. So I will put a stop to the lewdness and prostitution you began in Egypt. You will not look on these things with longing or remember Egypt anymore. This is also how God is becoming the first and the last. He became the first, making us the people of the covenant. But we became unfaithful and followed the other practices. So he will become the last by putting the end to everything, the rebellion, the unfaithfulness, the idol worship, through the severest judgment. So you will not look on these things with longing or remember Egypt anymore. Every tongue, every knee will bow down before the Lord Almighty. And this is how nobody will tell each other to know the Lord. Because from the least, everyone will know the Lord. Because of the tragedies, the disasters, the terrors that the Lord is going to make the land go through. So everyone will seal the Lord in his heart. After all these things have happened. So this is how nobody will even have that desire to remember or to seek or to practice idol worship. 28. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am about to deliver you into the hands of those you hate, to those you turned away from in disgust. 29. They will deal with you in hatred and take away everything you have worked for. They will leave you stark naked, and the shame of your prostitution will be exposed. Your lewdness and promiscuity, 30, have brought this on you, because you lusted after the nations and defiled yourselves with their idols. 31. You have gone the way of your sister, so I will put her cup into your hand. 32. This is what the sovereign Lord says. You will drink your sister's cup, a cup large and deep. It will bring scorn and derision, for it holds so much. So, since Kenya and Tanzania are sisters from the same mother, having the same origin, Kenya will also suffer, will also bear the sins, the adultery of her elder sister Tanzania. That is why it is written, you will drink your sister's cup, a cup large and deep, the severest judgment, because it is being given double of the punishment, of the judgment. It will bring scorn and derision, for it holds so much. 33. You will be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, the cup of ruin and desolation, the cup of your sister Samaria, Tanzania, the eldest sister. You will drink it and drain it dry, and chew on its pieces, and you will tear your breasts. What you comforted the other nations with, the breasts. I have spoken, declares the sovereign Lord. 35. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Since you have forgotten me and turned your back on me, you must bear the consequences of your lewdness and prostitution. 36. The Lord said to me, Son of man, will you judge Ohola and Oholiba? That is, Tanzania and Kenya, the sisters from the same mother, from the same origin. Then confront them with their detestable practices. 37. For they have committed adultery, and blood is on their hands. They committed adultery with their idols. They even sacrificed their children, whom they brought to me. So the children have been given to the world of darkness. People joining Illuminati, the innocent blood being shed, children taken as sacrifices for fame, power, and money. Those are the sacrifices. They are not serving the Lord. They are not being dedicated to the Lord Almighty, but they are being dedicated to other unholy altars. They have also done this to me. At that same time, they defiled my sanctuary and desecrated my Sabbath. So they, children, have been given to sacrifices to the devil's world, serving as secret devil's agents, not as men servants and women servants of the Lord Almighty. 39. On the very day they sacrificed their children to their idols, they entered my sanctuary and desecrated it. That is what they did in my house. So they do these things in secrecy and still come into the holy altars of the Lord Almighty, pretending to be holy. So they are heaping sin upon sin, defiling the sanctuary of the Lord more. They have no shame. They visit the unholy altars. They do the rituals. They drink blood. But they still visit the holy sanctuaries of the Lord, the true churches. 40. They even sent messengers for men who come from far away. And when they arrived, you bathed yourselves for them, applied eye makeup, and put on your jewelry. 41. You sat on an elegant couch with a table spread before it, on which you had placed the incense and olive oil that belonged to me. So, the country honors itself. It cleanses itself, adorns itself with beauty only for the foreign countries and kingdoms, but not for the things which are holy for God. That is how the makeup is being applied. They beautify the outside, but not the inside, to have the favors from the foreign kingdoms. 42. The noise of a carefree crowd was around her. Drunkards were brought from the desert, along with men from the rubble. And they put bracelets on the wrists of the woman and her sister, and beautiful crowns on their heads. 43. Then I said about the one worn out by adultery, now let them use her as a prostitute, for that is all she is. So that is how we got rejected by the prostitution, not remaining faithful to the Lord Almighty. 44. And they slept with her. So the country has covenanted, entered into agreement with so many filthy things. So it is filthy, it is dirty, having a rotten smell that is bad. So it has become a prostitute. So 44. And they slept with her as men sleep with a prostitute. So they slept with those lewd men, Ohola and Oholiba. That is Tanzania and Kenya. 45. But Russia's judges will sentence them to the punishment of women who commit adultery and shed blood. So disasters are coming, severe disasters, because they are adulterers and blood is on their hands. Remember, God is a jealous God. 46. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Bring a mob against them and give them over to terror and plunder. So I've said the terror is coming, the slaughter is coming, and people being fed by wild animals. The terror that is ahead, the severest judgment that is coming to Kenya. The whole world will witness and fear. Bring a mob against them and give them over to terror and plunder. 47. The mob will stone them and cut them down with their swords. They will kill their sons and daughters and burn down their houses. 48. So I will put an end to lewdness in the land, that all women may take warning and not imitate you. You will suffer the penalty of your lewdness and bear the consequences of your sins of idolatry. Then you will know that I am the sovereign Lord. In YouTube, you have already, I know some have already seen the warning that the US has given over Kenya, over a terror alert. The terror is coming. The slaughter is coming. It will be a sudden terror, and many people will be slaughtered. Children will be dashed into pieces. Women will be raped. Terror is coming in Nairobi, and people have to flee. Where are they supposed to flee? To the place of desolation. It will be pools of blood. Men will cry like women in labor. People will rapture, tear down the angel of death prophecy by Hubert Angel. And on this day of this slaughter, it will be marking the end of Ruto. So people have to flee, because it will be a sudden terror. Because the army that is coming, it is a ruthless army that the Lord has stirred up in his own might and spirit to fulfill his will and purpose. Because it is part of judgment. The Lord unleashing his anger upon his own people, the people of the covenant, in preparation for the new heavens and earth. That is why we also have the prophecy by Yamkela Joseph of England Rain TV, which says, prepare for a global lockdown, and the fall of satanic networks. Because this lockdown is the desolation that will happen in Kenya, Nalondo to Mabanga, the building of the city of God. There is the earthquake that is coming and the tsunami. The land will be split. And on the day of the Lord, every wickedness, the Hollywood kingdom will be no more. Everything that is unholy will be wiped out in the lake of fire. Only what is holy will remain. The remnant of people and resources is what will start the new heavens and earth. So, the two adulterous sisters, Ohola and Oholiba. Ohola is Samaria and Oholiba is Jerusalem. Jerusalem is Kenya. Samaria is Tanzania. This is the bone of grave. So, Tanzania, the map, the true map, the ancient map. The north side is where Tanzania is located. But on the basis of the world map, the countries on the world map that was made by man, it is giving a different direction, compass direction. But here is the true compass direction. Tanzania is in the north of Kenya. This is the true map that belongs to the Lord Almighty. So the two adulterous sisters, Ohola and Oholiba, Samaria and Jerusalem. Samaria, this is Tanzania, being the eldest. Back to Ezekiel chapter 16, Jerusalem as an adulterous wife. Verse 46, your elder sister was Samaria, who lived to the north of you with her daughters, and your younger sister, who lived to the south of you with her daughters, was Sodom. So this Sodom is Ethiopia. So Tanzania is in the north, the Samaria, the Ohola, and Sodom, which is Ethiopia, is in the south. So this is the true map that belongs to the Lord, the map that is holy. So Kenya is the heart of the earth. It is giving the true compass direction, the four ends of the earth as it was there in the beginning. So this is a bone of grave. Kenya, the heart of the earth. So to the north, Samaria, which is Tanzania. And to the south, it is Ethiopia, which is Sodom. 47. You not only followed their ways and copied their detestable practices, but in all your ways you soon became more depraved than they. 48. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, your sister Sodom and her daughters never did what you and your daughters have done. 49. Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom, that is Ethiopia. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. 50. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore, I did away with them as you have seen. 51. Samaria did not commit half the sins you did. So Kenya has been more rebellious, adulterous, unfaithful, committing sin that cannot be atoned for. So you have done more detestable things than they, and have made your sisters seem righteous by all these things you have done. So because the country is filled with more wickedness, more than the other nation, her own sister, Tanzania has been made to appear holy more than Kenya. And because of this, the severest judgment is coming to Kenya. And that is why Kenya will drink the cup of Tanzania. Because through the wickedness in the country, Tanzania has been made to appear to have little sin than Kenya. So that is why we will drink the cup of Tanzania, our sister. 52. Bear your disgrace, for you have furnished justification for your sisters. Because your sins were more vile than theirs, they appear more righteous than you. So then, be ashamed and bear your disgrace, for you have made your sisters appear righteous. 53. However, I will restore the fortunes of Sodom and her daughters, and of Samaria and her daughters, that is Ethiopia and Tanzania, and your fortunes along with them. That is why I said after judgment is glory. 54. So that you may bear your disgrace and be ashamed of all you have done in giving them comfort. 55. And your sisters, Sodom with her daughters and Samaria with her daughters, will return to what they were before. And you and your daughters will return to what you were before. That is why God says in Isaiah chapter 1:26, I will restore you to the days of old, your rulers, as in the days, as your rulers as at the beginning. So it will no longer be called Tanzania, but Samaria. So the old map is coming back, because these were the ancient names. So they are coming back to life. The resurrection of the dead, the past names, the ancient names coming back to life again. The old is passing away, the new is beginning. 55. And your sisters, Sodom with her daughters and Samaria with her daughters, will return to what they were before. And you and your daughters will return to what you were before. You will not even mention your sister Sodom in the day of your pride, in the day of the glory, Kenya becoming a tree of life. Revelation 22. 57. Before your wickedness was uncovered, even so you are now scorned by the daughters of Edom and all her neighbors, and the daughters of the Philistines, and those around you who despise you. So Edom is Esau, the descendants of Esau. The Mount Kenya people are Edomites, the descendants of Esau. 58. You will bear the consequences of your lewdness and your detestable practices, declares the Lord. 59. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I will deal with you as you deserve, because you have despised my oath by breaking the covenant. Which covenant? We were married to the Lord, and we were supposed to stay faithful only to the Lord Almighty, not to embrace the foreign kingdoms. That is why we despised the oath and broke the covenant. 60. Yet I will remember the covenant I made with you in the days of your youth, and I will establish an everlasting covenant with you. So, when Kenya finally becomes a tree of life, when every wickedness has been wiped away, people returning to the Lord, this is how we are getting married back to the Lord, dwelling with us, making his dwelling place in Kenya, the throne of God, the mountain of the Lord, Isaiah 2. And it will no longer be Kenya, but the new Israel nation. That is how the covenant will be renewed. And I will establish an everlasting covenant with you. Then you will remember your ways and be ashamed when you receive your sisters, both those who are older than you and those who are younger. I will give them to you as daughters, but not on the basis of my covenant with you. 62. So I will establish my covenant with you, and you will know that I am the Lord. 63. Then, when I make atonement for you for all you have done, you will remember and be ashamed, and never again open your mouth because of your humiliation, declares the sovereign Lord. So that is why we have the restoration of Israel, the promise of Israel's return, because now it is the promise of Israel's return, the restoration of Israel back to life, so that the covenant is renewed. The 400 years of slavery. That is why God promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that after 400 years, he will return the Israelites. He will take them up from slavery and return them to their fathers and mothers' land, the Canaan land, the land of promise, the overflowing land of milk and honey. So, their mothers and fathers' land. So, that is why here in Ezekiel chapter 16, Ezekiel chapter 16, it says, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, confront Jerusalem with her detestable practices, and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says to Jerusalem. Your ancestry and birth were in the land of the Canaanites. Now you understand why it is Canaan, the land of promise. Why God told Abraham, after 400 years of slavery, but remember, a day is like 1,000 years. After 400 years of slavery, I will return you to your father and mother's land, the Canaan land of promise, to give you as an inheritance, the beautiful land. So understand why it is the land of Canaan, where God told Abraham, I will return you to your mother's and father's land. So here is the answer. Your ancestry and birth were in the land of the Canaanites. Your father was an Amorite and your mother a Hittite. So, Nalondo to Mabanga, the ancient land of Canaan, the land of the promise. And in it will be the heavenly kingdom on earth. The new Jerusalem, the land of promise, the land of inheritance, overflowing with milk and honey. So, Africans are the true Israelites. But Jacob is Israel. And you find that the only tribes of the remnant are the Israelites. But you find that in all the Israelites, the Israel nation, which is the vineyard of the Lord, the Israel nation is the vineyard of the Lord. But the Lord delighted in Judah, his vine. And the bone of grave is The lawyers are Judah. Jesus was black. That is why here I am, the woman president in Kenya. The blood of Jesus, the lineage of Jesus, the bride at this resurrection with the messianic call, the signet of the Lord, the branch of Jesse. Remember, Jesse was from Judah, the lineage. And through him, we found Jesus. Now, through Jesus, here I am, the bride, the branch of Jesse, the covenant for the people. So, you find that Nalondo to Mabanga is in western Kenya, and western is dominated by Luyas. Mabanga is the Bethlehem land. So Israel is the vineyard, but the vine, the singled out vine, is Judah, which the Lord delighted. Because why did the Lord delight in Judah? Because the ancestry, the heirs of the ancestry. That is why you find Prophet Owor prophesied and said, the resurrection will start from Bungoma. Why Bungoma? Bungoma is in western, and it is Luyas, the Judah. So we have the whole Israel as the vineyard, but the vine is Judah. That is why in the Bible we have the song for my vineyard. Isaiah chapter 5, the song of the vineyard. I will sing for the one I love, a song about his vineyard. My loved one had a vineyard on a fertile hillside. 2. He dug it up and cleared it of stones, and planted it with the choicest vines. He built a watchtower in it and cut out a winepress as well. Then he looked for a crop of good grapes, but it yielded only bad fruits. 3. Now you dwellers in Jerusalem and people of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. 4. What more could have been done for my vineyard than I have done for it? When I looked for good grapes, why did it yield only bad? 5. Now I will tell you what I am going to do to my vineyard. I will take away its hedge, and it will be destroyed. I will break down its wall, and it will be trampled. 6. I will make it a wasteland, neither pruned nor cultivated, and briars and thorns will grow there. I will command the clouds not to rain on it, the famine that is coming. 7. The vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, that is Jacob. It is the vineyard of the Lord Almighty. And the people of Judah are the vines he delighted in. Now you understand why the resurrection is from Bungoma. In the vision that Owor had, Bungoma being surrounded by a golden ring, and 4 arrows emerge from it, the 4 corners of the earth. So, Bungoma, Judah, the Luyas, they are the vine that the Lord delighted in. And he looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard cries of distress. So, the whole nation of Israel is the vineyard. but the Judah is the vine that the Lord delighted in, the Luyas, the lineage of Judah, and in it we found David the king was born, we found Jesus, and here now I am the woman president in Kenya, a pure Luya, a Bukusu, the branch of Jesse that has sprouted the signet of the Lord. Isaiah chapter 11. So now understand why the resurrection is starting from the Luya land, Bungoma, and why Nalondo to Mabanga, which is in Bungoma, is going to be the heavenly kingdom on earth, because it is the ancient land of Canaan, the land that belonged to our forefathers, the covenant that God promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he will give them as an inheritance. That is why it is written in Jeremiah chapter 23, chapter 7, so then the days are coming, declares the Lord, when people will no longer say, as surely as the Lord lives, who brought the Israelites up out of Egypt, but they will say, as surely as the Lord lives, who brought the descendants of Israel up out of the land of the north, and out of all the countries where he banished them. Then they will live in their own land. So that is how people are being returned from slavery to possess their own land, the land of their fathers, the Canaan land of promise, overflowing with milk and honey. So Jerusalem, Kenya, the city of David. So it is going to have the severest judgment, because they are the people of the covenant, yet they rebelled against the Lord Almighty. They remained unfaithful, so they are having the severest judgment from the Lord Almighty. That's why in Isaiah 29, it's written, woe to David's city, which is David's city, Kenya, the ancient Jerusalem. Woe to you, Ariel. It bears the name Ariel. Woe to you, Ariel, Ariel, the city where David settled. Add year to year, and let your cycle of festivals go on. 2. Yet I will besiege Ariel. She will mourn and lament. She will be to me like an altar hearth. 3. I will encamp against you on all sides. I will encircle you with towers, and set up my siege works against you. 4. Brought low, you will speak from the ground. Your speech will mumble out of the dust. Your voice will come ghost-like from the earth. Out of the dust, your speech will whisper. How will this happen? With the terror that is coming, the war, the slaughter, the great famine, the plagues. That's how the country will remain desolate. That is how the country will speak from the ground. This is how the speech of Kenyans will mumble out of the dust. It will be like a ghost. No one will want to pass through because of the terrors. So after this judgment, it is glory. All the enemies will be destroyed by the Lord. And why will this happen? For the Lord to be proved holy, upon the land and upon the other nations. So 5 it says, but your many enemies will become like fine dust. The ruthless hordes will like blown chaff. Suddenly, in an instant, the Lord Almighty will come with thunder and earthquake and great noise, with whirlwind and tempest and flames of a devouring fire. So, all the enemies will be destroyed. The Lord proving himself to be holy and keeping his name from being profaned anymore through the lake of fire, through causing them to fight against themselves, the overturnment of royal thrones, with the great earthquake that will happen and the flame of fire. 7. Then the hosts of all the nations that fight against Ariel, that is Kenya, that attack her and her fortress and besiege her, will be as it is with a dream, with a vision in the night. All this will happen on the day of the Lord. 8. As when a hungry person dreams of eating, but awakens hungry still. As when a thirsty person dreams of drinking, but awakens faint and thirsty still. So will it be with the hordes of all the nations that fight against Mount Zion. So, Kenya is the heart of the earth. To the north, that is Ohola, Samaria, that is Tanzania. And to the south, we have Sodom, that is Ethiopia. Kenya is the heart of the earth. So this is the bone of grave. The true mapping that was there from the beginning, not the false mapping that we have been made to follow, the world map just drawn by the mind and wisdom of man. But here, with the word of truth, the Holy Bible, this is the revelation, the bone of grave. Kenya, the heart of the earth. To the north, Samaria, Ohola, that is Tanzania. And to the south, that is Sodom, Ethiopia.